Anxiety is unhappiness. It's associated with psychological discomfort and often guilt. And there are two kinds of anxiety. There's the state of anxiety, which means you feel unhappy periodically, and then the trait of anxiety, which means you have those states over and over and over again. In other words, you're an anxious person. Now, for years, I thought I shouldn't be anxious, so I decided to study that as a psychologist. I teamed up with Dr. Richard Gorsuch, but at the time, he had authored the most popular measure of anxiety in this country, and he was the editor-in-chief of the Journal for the Scientific Study of Religion. So what we did is we went to a wilderness training organization and worked with them, and we measured people's religious orientation and their anxiety level before they took them out into the wilderness and did the exercises that they did. Because just because someone's religious, that doesn't tell you anything. You need to understand how they're religious. Is your religion a personal thing for you? Is it a social thing for you? It is something that you're nominally involved with? Well, here's what we found. If you take people out into the desert and you leave them there overnight, or you tie a rope around their waist and throw them off a mountain, which they call rappelling, it's going to make you anxious, and it doesn't matter what your religious orientation is. If the circumstances are right, you are going to feel anxiety. But the study didn't stop there. 2 weeks later, we measured their anxiety again. You know what we found? The people who had a personal relationship with a loving God were no longer anxious. Everybody else still was. The atheists, the nominally religious people, the socially religious people, they were all still anxious. But people who believe in a personal relationship with a living God were no longer anxious. You will feel anxious in life, but you don't have to stay anxious. As the participants in my study found, making use of our relationship with God is the best way to deal with your anxiety in life. You're going to feel anxious, but you don't have to stay that way.